Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and in this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. First we're going to start with Washington, the United States of America. Zelensky arrived in the capital of the United States of America, and the official part of his meetings has started. And as you can see, the first person he met was the Minister of Defense of the United States of America, Lloyd Austin, and they were talking a lot. And as usually, Zelensky was blaming Russia in all things in the world and so on. After that event, obviously Zelensky is going to have a meeting with the Senate and then with the President of the United States of America. Obviously today Zelensky will receive some money, or at least some promises. Probably 12th of December is going to be the most important day in the future and in the destiny of Ukraine. Now let's move to Ukraine. We got a lot of very interesting situation and updates from the ground. And before we start discussing a few things about Odessa, about the mobilization process, another act of democracy in Odessa. As you can see, significant number of soldiers and police officers entered another gym where the tank drivers, future tank drivers, Leopard drivers and Striker Bradleys were making some trainings. It's joking, obviously, you understand me. So another act of democracy from the Ukrainian side. Significant number of young men were captured by them and sent to the training centers, even women, as I see. Now we are moving to the situation on the ground. We have a lot of updates from Avdiivka and from Bogdanovka and Sever's direction. But first let's talk about Krynky area. The Russians launched their offensive operation. They're storming this territory from different directions. Mainly we receive updates just from the Ukrainian side. For example, in this video we see how the Ukrainians managed to destroy 1 or 2 armored vehicles with infantry on board that were storming Krynky from the south. A little bit further to the northwest east we got another video how the Ukrainians destroyed another Russian armored vehicle. So as you can see, the active phase of destroying of this foothold has started by the Russians. I believe that the days of Krynky are numbered, but for now the Ukrainians are able to repel the Russian attacks. Furthermore, we got the video how of number of positions and number of Russian forces around Krynky. On this video we see a Russian vehicle was moving through the forest, through the lines. We see the abandoned and destroyed armored vehicles of Russian forces in that forest. We see the Russian soldiers patrol, probably who was moving from one side to another. So basically Krynky are blocked. The city by the name of Krynky is blocked by the Russians from every side. Yes, the Russians do have losses, and we have a lot of geolocations in the past how the Ukrainians were destroying the Russians. If we increase the number of days, let's say since the beginning of December, we're gonna see the number of updates and the number of destroyed Russian vehicles, let's say, in Krynky, in the forest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least just for December, at least up to 5 armored vehicles were destroyed, or something were destroyed. Now we are moving further to Avdiivka direction. We have a lot of updates from this territory, and basically the Ukrainian defense belt has been collapsed by the Russians, and the most important events are coming from the southern part. Russians, so we still haven't received even a single geolocation. But the Russians are saying that they managed to penetrate the Ukrainian defense belt. Syriac updated the map showing the Russian progress, at least in this territory. But other Russian sources in Telegram chats and Telegram channels and published updates that as a result of offensive operation, the Russians did manage to penetrate and to get deeper inside of Ukrainian defense belt. So currently, according to some Russians, the Russian forces managed to establish control over this territory. So something like this, we have some report that clashes, currently the main clashes goes around along Kirova Street. The Russians call this street not like Kirova, but the Russians call this territory Kolosov Street. So this is the main Russian, let's say, direction of attack. They managed to dig in deeper, they managed to rotate infantry, they managed to bring armored vehicles and so on. I'm not sure whether I need to change the map before we get at least one video confirmation, but maybe I will change the map, at least show this territory is in the gray zone. A little bit to the north and along Yasenovata line, the Russians managed to discover the Ukrainian artillery, small vehicle, let's say infantry artillery position, and as a result of artillery strike, counter-artillery strike, that Ukrainian fortification area was destroyed. So this is the situation, and once again, the most important clashes are taking place exactly in this area. Very interesting update is coming from the north, from the village village by the name of Stepova. Nothing special, but one important note that I would like to discuss with you. On this video published by the Ukrainian site, we see how the Ukrainians managed to destroy a Russian tank. And this is probably the key word, Russian tank. Because when talking about the previous period clashes in this area, mainly we were talking about destroyed and killed Russian infantry by Ukraine FPV drones. We saw some geolocations with Russian armored vehicles, BMP, destroyed by the Ukraine fire. And this is the first evidence, the first case when the Ukrainians managed to attack and destroy Russian tank, which confirms that the Russians start sending their heavy armored vehicles on the Ukrainian bank, let's say, of on the Ukrainian side of the railways. So that was the first case of heavy armored vehicle on the Ukrainian side of the railways, which confirms the Russian progress, which confirms the Russians are planning, have managed to improve and are planning to continue improvements of their positions in this village. Now we are moving further to Bakhmut, Artyomov's direction. Some clashes are taking place on the line between Klishchiivka and the canal. Some source published the storming process of Ukrainian positions in the vicinity of Klishchiivka, and we have another update of map from Syriac, for example. He shows that as a result of offensive operation, the Russians managed to improve their positions, something like this. For now, also, I'm not planning to change the map because we need some geolocated video confirmations, or at least more confirmations from different mappers, including pro-Ukrainian, let's say. Now we are moving to Vesele, to Siever's directions. You can see we also have lots of geolocations, a lot of updates. And if you remember, during the previous days, we were talking a lot about the Russian progress along the railways, but we haven't received even a single geolocation of that. And today, finally, we got one. On this video, for example, we can see how the Ukrainian forces of 10th Mountain Assault Brigade, this is like their icon, 10th Mountain Assault, and we can see the same icon on this video, how the Ukrainian forces, FPV operators of 10th Mountain Assault Brigade, were attacking the Russian forces, the Russian soldiers, stormtroopers with FPV drones, which 100% confirmation of Russian progress, and probably the Ukrainians were forced to step back further. Before the next video, we can use this case obviously as the main evidence, and before the next video we will update the map and show this territory under complete Russian control. Furthermore, the sources are saying that the Russians managed to encircle Vesele, and not just encircle, but to create even a cauldron. So something like this. So we'll see. If it's true, obviously today or maybe tomorrow, within the next 48 hours, the Russians will be able to establish full control, complete control over this territory. So for now, according to some sources, Vesele is in a cauldron. Now we are moving further to Krynky forest. If you remember, yesterday the Russians managed to penetrate the Ukrainian defense belt and to dig in very deep inside of Ukrainian defense belt. And today we got more geolocations, more confirmations. On this video, for example, we see how the Ukrainians destroyed Russian tank, which confirms, let's say, the edge progress, the edge position of Russian progress during Russian offensive operation. The tank was geolocated in this area, so this is the let's say final position of Russian forces that they managed to capture, managed to reach. So very significant progress. If we calculate the distance that the Russians managed to bypass during one day, it's around 1.3 kilometers, and this is a lot when talking about Krynky forest. Also, we got some episodes of clashes inside of the forest, another storm attempt, how the Russians were taking those trenches, those fortifications. When talking about Kupyansk direction, we haven't received anything, just one update from the head of Ukrainian infantry army. On this photo you can see Syrsky. He's very exhausted, and I believe he has some difficult thoughts in his mind, and according to him, Russia began to move reserves near Kupyansk in order to block it. So obviously the next days we're going to see more updates and more clashes on this direction as well. So to summarize everything, the very bad situation, difficult situation for the Ukrainians in Krynky, but for now they were able to repel every single Russian attack. The Russians managed to penetrate the Ukrainian defense belt in Avdiivka and to enter the southern part of this area of residential. So the Russians managed to enter and to cross the border of the city itself, The Russians start redeploying armored vehicles to the Ukrainian side of the railways. The Russians managed to improve their positions in the vicinity of Bogdanovka, but still they haven't started the ground operation in the village. And the Russians managed to, we got confirmation of the Russian progress along the railways and the edge position of Russian forces in Crimea. So we see that Ukrainian frontline, Ukrainian defense is collapsing. And that's it for this short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.